All right, this is the second time recording this because the first time I wasn't recording on with audio on. But we're doing it anyways, running it back. So this is kind of a video to myself, to be honest, and I don't really care if this video gets any views at all. I'm just putting my goals out there because I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I feel like I have clarity for the first time in a while on like what specifically I want out of the next phase of my life. And so I'm putting this out here because I know that I'm going to achieve it, and I'm going to look, this is like a video for my future self to look back as proof of everything. And so that's the only reason I'm putting this out here. And also, if you have goals, whether you are convinced of them or not, but you know you want to achieve them, I encourage you to put them out there as well. I have not necessarily been doing this publicly, but I've been doing it like privately with just videos to myself for a while, and it has worked. But I want to take things to the next level. Like if it's a video game, I want to max out every single one of my stats of my character. And so I'm putting this out here and doing this. And I'm going to try not to make this like a high school slideshow presentation where I'm reading the words that are directly off the slides. So yeah, um, and I'm just speaking this into existence. And I'm also aware that I'm willing to sacrifice what's necessary to get these goals. I'm realistic with the sacrifices that it's going to take. I don't think it's going to be easy. Some parts may be simple, but probably not easy. And if you are not willing to sacrifice and you haven't thought about it before, what you need to sacrifice to get your goals, then you kind of need to lower your goals. And that's how it is. So here's where I'm going to be. Number one is I'm going to be the best in the world at call funnels. Now, it kind of sounds a bit retarded because call funnels are just a mechanism to get the outcome you want, which is sales. So it's like, yeah, you could still also get a lot of sales, whatever you're selling. In this case, it's the lead gen side of things, nothing to do with ecom. You could also get results from webinars, challenges, low tickets, lead magnets, anything. However, I really like the idea in working on call funnels of being able to take a complete cold stranger and close them within a few days, a week, whatever the sales cycle is, on something super high ticket, which then helps improve and change their life in a positive way. And whether it's 5K all the way up to 50K or more, it's like, and I don't even just like this as a concept because I've already done a lot of these, but in practice, and I've been doing it for a minute now. And I also just find it's more fun to work on these. And I know that I like marketing and I want to continue to get better at it. So that's why I have this here as like hyper specializing on one sort of problem solving skill set. And so I like working on these. It's very satisfying once you crack one, crack a call funnel. And so, yeah, and it's going to be very difficult to measure, like, or pretty much impossible to measure, oh, I'm the best in the world at call funnels, because that's just something you say and it doesn't mean anything. It's kind of ego driven, to be honest, as well. But I can't exactly like go to somebody else who's been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years doing call funnels and offers. I can't just 1v1 them like it's Call of Duty, although that would be dope. But I do want to be the senior strategist and manager of a call funnel doing 5 million per month. Like not just a business doing 5 million per month, but 5 million per month from a call funnel, which is pretty significant, but I know that it's in the bag. So right now there are a couple clients, and I'm not taking full credit for either of these or any of these by no means, but there are a couple clients who I work on and I work for who are close to a million a month right now. One of them I think we'll get in the next few months, the other definitely before the end of the year. So I think we'll have two by the end of this year for sure. And I know that there's going to be a whole lot more for me to learn in order to get past that mark as well. There's been a lot for me to learn to get to this mark in the first place, and I know that there's going to be a lot more for me to do and learn to get to the next level. So I think that there are kind of three things that I need to do to level up my skill set in order to get better, and I'm just writing this out here to speak it into existence again. So number one is getting significantly better at offers. This is going to be one of the biggest keys to the success of a call funnel. And I feel like my research process is pretty, solid just based on my ability to enter a new market that I maybe am unfamiliar with and familiarize myself with it based on my copywriting background. I think I'm also like pretty good at messaging and just understanding how to attract quality leads and what bad messaging looks like versus good messaging. Not that I am perfect or the best in any way, shape, or form yet. However, I think that I'm pretty solid there. And I think that, I have a good amount of experience crafting offers, but I think that it's going to be the biggest lever I can pull and where I can add more to pour more on for my skill set to get more returns. So that's one. Second thing is going to be understanding sales processes and management a lot better. So same thing. I think right now I have like the silver bullets down, like the most important parts, but I also want all of it. I want to know all of it and I want to do all of it. And there's kind of like two schools of thought when it comes to maximizing the potential of anything. Number one, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You've heard it before. It's kind of funny because when people say this, they generally, it comes from a negative place where they're like, oh, I don't want to just do this when they know it's something they should do. The next thing is if it could be better, then it's as good as broken. This comes from Greg Plitt, who's the GOAT. Now, I think leaning too far towards school of thought number two is too close to perfectionism, which is the number one killer of speed. And I think that is definitely going to slow me down, obviously. But I think also it's like one of the biggest things I need to work on is less perfectionism and still produce quality outputs, but at a faster pace. And so, anyways, I'm leaning more towards number two though than number one, right? So I want to maximize everything. I want to learn everything there is to know outside of what I already have. Number three is improving my speed and level of execution. So I don't think I'm necessarily slow. That's my biased opinion. But there are certainly things I procrastinate on, which this may be counterintuitive to what I just said. But whatever. There are certainly things I procrastinate on sometimes, and I know I should do them. And I know I can get a whole lot faster at iterating and testing, which is going to be super key when we're spending significant amounts of money and when there's a lot going on and a high volume of everything. So this also ties in with like better leadership skills. That's kind of like maybe a fourth thing. But yeah, that's goal number one. That one's in the bag. Number two is I'm going to become the most jacked and shredded natural marketer on the planet. Now, I say natural not because like some moral superiority thing where I think people on gear are terrible. I don't give a fuck, and it's their decision. That's fine, and I also don't have anything against it. I just say it because chances are it's pretty logical and obvious that I'm not going to be bigger than someone who's taking a whole lot of gear. So this is why I have to clarify natural. I also want to get my OCB Natural Pro bodybuilding card, which I know is definitely possible based on my frame. I've seen guys who are smaller than me get it just because they're crazy conditioned and they're really good with the posing, and also the lineup of other people gave them an advantage basically. So I realistically think this is like a 12 to 24 month process, maybe more. I wrote 18 here, but I think it's probably 24 months closer to that because there's a lot more work to do. There's a lot more to learn. There's a lot more to practice, a lot more to get better at. And I think it's just a game of consistency here. I think like I know what to do to achieve this one. It's not rocket science. It's just a matter of doing it over a long time period. And that kind of ties in with something else I'm gonna get into. But yeah, so goal number two in the bag. Number three, have the best mindset of anyone on planet Earth. Now this one is the most vague I could possibly get with a goal, I know. And it also uses the word mindset, which I kind of don't like because everyone throws it around and expects you to understand what it means. Like mindset, what does that mean? So people just throw that around. But to be clear, like I want to be so pulled towards the work I'm doing in all aspects of life, not just business or health, but everything, that it's basically like I would die if I wasn't doing those things. Not in a negative way where it's like I can't take a step away from business because I don't know what to do outside of that. Not that, but just I don't have to push towards it. I'm pulled towards it from an internal thing because I want to do it like a fire. So I've recently invested a boatload of money into mentorship for identity architecture or re-architecture, if that's a word, which I know is going to be massively helpful for achieving this goal. And the transformation is going to be continuous throughout my life, but I think that most of the gains are going to come over the next 6 to 12 months from this work. And I feel like I'll know when I've reached the goal. Maybe not, could be wrong, but yeah. I've also have like already an insane amount of conviction and belief behind my actions and my goals, but being brutally honest, I don't think I have that killer mindset and subconscious identity that I want yet. And so I know that there's still a lot of work and improvement to be made there. Some of the things as well that I'm already doing somewhat that I need to just stay consistent through on in this period of time are like number one, improving the people I surround myself with. I think this is kind of going to be natural though, just based on getting closer towards all these goals. I think I'll attract the right people. Taking in mental food that lifts me up, lifts me up. The main thing is passively, not actively. So if I'm like doing cardio or doing something where I'm not necessarily working, it's like listening to positive music, podcasts, etc. People who listen to negative music, or people who listen to rap, which is just like industry brain rot and brainwashing, they can get out of my life respectfully. So I'm only here listening to stuff that lifts me up, not over consuming media. Pretty self-explanatory. Eating clean, I think I already do, but just staying consistent with that. Getting good sleep, shit inputs equals shit outputs. Removing my goals from a pedestal. So if there's this gap between where I'm at now and my goals, then it's like I perceive the goals to be out of reach, or I tell myself that I'm not deserving of them, and that obviously is not going to create great results. So removing goals from a pedestal, and then over indexing on simple things, doing the simple things consistently, and under indexing on the fancy stuff, even if it's super sexy and distracting and woman in the red dress, so to speak. So I think that one's in the bag as well, like the other ones. And all of these goals are just a matter of one simple equation. I feel like I saw somebody talk about a similar concept to this. They didn't give the exact equation. I haven't seen anybody do this exactly, to my knowledge. But it's kind of something that I've been like one of my core frameworks, I guess. It's that any outcome you want, it's the time frame you do something for times the intensity you do it, which is just the volume, and times the consistency of you doing that day in and day out equals outcome. I think it's fairly simple. Not easy, but it's fairly simple. And this is going to be like the underlying tone to all three of these things, plus other things as well. Like there's other goals outside of this, I suppose, but these are kind of the main needle movers I'm going to hit. So, yeah, that's everything. And I will be maybe seeing this video in however many years from now, whatever the time frame is, but I wrote 3 years here, and that's everything. Peace. Where's my OBS? All right, cool.